Looking forward, some things that will be really important to you is this 90-day waiting period. So once you hire an employee in, you only have 90 days to actually be able to cover, or you must cover that employee within 90 days. So that'll be your probation period, but by that 90th day, that employee needs to be covered by your insurance plan. There will be some additional incentives. Now, I'm not sure whether this pertains to this group or not, because I need to ask that question on my call to Human Health Services tonight. But there are some other incentives if a company offers wellness programs, specifically smoking cessation, up to 50% tax credit. But I have to see if that pertains to your group or not. Those with 50 or more, you'll have new information requirements about the health care that you're offering your employees. And that first reports will be due in 2015. Hence, I'll have to come back sometime next year when we have all the rules and how that's going to look to talk about how you would be doing that or where you would go to get the information about that reporting. And the same thing for coverage. First reports are due 2015. Now remember, I said that this will be legislated and litigated. So some things may change, but we're talking about the basic framework right now. So this is talking about business. We're talking about business. However, it's very difficult to talk about, just the employer responsibility and not talk a little bit about the individual responsibility, because these are some of the things that you will want to know. But when it comes to the individual responsibility of having to have insurance, there are 9 exemptions. First exemption is if they're part of a religious group that is recognized by the government, if they do not have to offer health care insurance. And if you fall up under that category, you should know, because you'll find that out through your church group, but it must be a recognized group with the government. There are some healthcare sharing ministries where ministries get together as a group and they spread insurance out. If a person is covered up under their church or or their health care sharing ministry, then they are exempt from penalty on the individual side for having coverage. If they are a member of a federally recognized Indian tribe, if they don't make enough money to even file, then they are exempt for any penalty on the individual side. If they went without coverage for less than 3 months, then they're exempt. If there's a hardship, so I don't know what the criteria is going to be for hardship, but the marketplace will be the area where people will be able to go in and put in their hardship, and if that hardship is approved, then they will get an exemption certificate that says that they do not have to have coverage because of this hardship that has gone on, and however long that they'll be exempt from a requirement of having health care insurance. If they are incarcerated, obviously they have health care insurance. I made a joke earlier, if you want to get out of it, maybe you get incarcerated and you'll have health care insurance. They laughed, you guys. I didn't even get a giggle. And lastly, if you're not a legal citizen of the United States, then you're not required because you're not filing any taxes. And taxes is one of the ways that they're really going to figure out whether you do or do not have insurance. The Department of Labor, you can go to the next one. The Department of Labor, Human Health Services, and IRS now have to work together on this particular Reform Act. So they're communicating with each other. How they're doing it, I'm not sure. But trust me, if you are going to be subject to a penalty, you're going to get notified, and it'll tell you how much that will be. Obviously, you'll be saying, well, no, I offered them insurance. Here is their declination paperwork, and, it's affordable. Thank you. Sorry to bother you. Now they're back to the individual. These 4...
That says small, but it's for both, right?
Yes.
Small business.
Yes. Well, like I said, this is for Affordable Care Act. What we call small, the Small Business Administration, you know, we talk about up to $500 million, 500 people, so I don't want us to get confused on the Department of Labor's definition of small. So the first site is sba.gov/healthcare. That's a good site because there are a lot of frequently asked questions there. There are also direct links to Human Health Services, to the IRS, and to the Department of Labor websites. However, if you have a specific question and you go to one of these websites, especially IRS, you're going to get a PDF of about 290 some odd pages, and you're looking for one specific answer. It's difficult to find and search for a question. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. We're asking a question, and now we're trying to look through all this documentation to find that answer. It becomes difficult. Therefore, that's why I'm available. That's why Donna is available. And Julie doesn't know it yet, but she's going to also be available because she'll be assisting in passing this information, you know, out to you.
Not knowing it, just passing.
Okay, let's open it up for questions. Well, that was, I thank you. That was a pretty good presentation. I have no questions. Go ahead, sir.
You were very clear about that you must enroll all your employees, let them opt out.
Yeah, if you have 200 or more.
What about the rest of the family? In other words, if we ensure that the employee is enrolled, but not necessarily the employee's family, and they opt out, are they opting out individually and as a family?
So remember,
Are we responsible for seeing that
you offer. That's your responsibility.
Okay.
You offer. They opt out. So let's just say, if I understand your scenario, that the individual chooses to take your insurance but does not want family coverage. You're covered. That's your employee. Now on the individual side, he or she is responsible for his family being covered, and if you offered it and he opt out, he can go and purchase a family coverage, but he can't get a premium and you can't be penalized. Did that answer that question?
Yeah, that's the question.
Other questions? I answered like 6 questions for you earlier, so I'm going to let him go. Go ahead.
I have 150 employees.
Okay.
I have 125 seasonal.
Okay.
How does seasonals who are in there, like a 3-month window, fit into this?
Okay. So, taking into consideration that, you know, businesses have seasonal employees that will suddenly jump that FTE up, there is a sliding 6-month scale, 6 consecutive months that you can use for those calculations. Okay? So, for 6 consecutive months, you can determine which months do you want to make that measurement. So January to June, you know, if you have a lot of seasonal at the end of the year, you know, July to December, if, you know, now if you're right smack dab in the middle, we're talking about calculation purposes. Now, you do not have to offer insurance to part-time employees. Now, if they're seasonal and they're considered full-time, this is a question you do not consider them full-time. Well, then they're part-time, so you're not responsible for offering. But you are responsible for offering to 95% of your full-time employees because, you know, those part-time employee equivalent took you over that 50, but you're already over there. You're at 100. So, and you're already offering, right?
But we just don't do anything to the seasonal.
No. Part-time workers, you do not have to offer health care insurance. There was a question back here.
Sure.
Oh, my question was about family coverage. I know we aren't required to offer it. If you do offer it, are there any cost issues that can you pass along the full cost of the additional coverage to that employee?
Well, yeah.
Or are there any rules with that?
Your responsibility is to offer health care insurance and for it not to exceed the premiums that you pay or that they pay does not exceed 9.5% of their total household income. So if you choose that all you want to do is cover the employee's portion at only 50% or so, and he must then cover his other 50%, that's your option, and he still would be responsible to cover his family. So now this is where it gets tricky, because then when he goes to purchase the insurance and it triggers to determine whether it was affordable or not, that's where you and the government and your health benefits person would need to make sure that you have all your ducks in order to make sure that, you know, there's something was not missed or some loophole, and this may change, so I may have to give updates. You know, same with the seasonal workers and also temporary agencies, temporary staffing agencies. So there's issues out there on how to address those. When does an employee become an employee? But this gentleman right here, raise your hand, sir. That gentleman right there can answer all your questions about temporary agencies. Just substitute that. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me switch him over. Yeah, my Air Force buddy, I'm sorry. AMI. You had a question?
Yes.
Did I answer your question?
And I may know the answer to this. We have an agency, the health department, of about, I'm just going to say 40 to make an even number, 40 employees. But we're part of a pool with the 250 folks here, okay? Are we responsible for providing the insurance based on our wages, everything that you've talked about today? Because we'd be considered small business based on the number of employees we have, but yet we're part of a larger pool of the county.
Okay. No. Are you paying? Are you
We're
providing?
paying our own premiums.
No, but are you providing W-2s for those other entities?
The county is.
The county,
The county provides for
they
their
basically
agencies.
act like our bank. I mean, really. That's,
So the county then is the one that is issuing the W-2s for not only you, but also those other groups of 250, such and such. Do they offer health care insurance?
Yes.
yes. Even though they're not our employer.
Yeah, so you're not concerned because you're an employee. It is.
Okay.
So is anyone here from the county?
Yes.
That's the
Oh,
5 of them.
Okay. You set me up.
Yeah, I did.
So again, the counties are, just think about this. They're already offering healthcare insurance. It's already affordable. They already are paying a portion of the premiums. They're already probably giving you a lot of choices. They're covering not just your 40, but thousands of hundreds. And if they're considered the employer, they're already,
The federal government considers them our employer.
they're government, so they're offering some sort of insurance that's going to fit. So she was looking out for you guys, but you know.
So in that scenario then.
This is my buddy here. He comes with the great scenarios.
Using the.
Are you with the insurance industry?
Yes, I am. The 9.5%, and that's again based on the salary, and we talked about the single premium. If an employee from the county makes $24,000 a year, which we know they always make about 124, but I'll use 24,000 a year. The 9.5% of that means that only $190 per month on the single premium is that 9.5%. So if they are getting $250 a month,
Then
they're lower than that.
yeah, if they are, then they're paying for family coverage and probably health, vision and dental and life, and those don't count. That is not in the calculation. We're only talking about medical health care coverage. Single plan. Single plan. See, the county's got their stuff together. I mean, they know it. Yeah, I mean, because the county is in that area of those big employers that can spread the risk pool amongst a lot of people, so their premiums are lower. You know, their premium rating is maybe a D instead of an A, because I think it goes backwards. If it's A, it's more expensive. Go down like D, it's less expensive. But they've spread it out across, which is why these organizations are under those groups. That's why the county was able to go out and purchase that insurance, at those affordable costs.
Do they have to be aware of the nettle plans and the 7%?
This who?
The county.
No, because they're not gonna be able to shop out of the shop. They're not gonna be able to purchase out of there. Any other questions?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
I work with small businesses and with their benefit packages. And
Oh, I have another one.
You do. I know these small businesses primarily women.
Yes.
And the reason why healthcare costs are so much higher is because of maternity.
Yep.
I do have women in this business that are all of childbearing age and do want to have children later on in life. However, when I quote them just straight healthcare, we run around $143 a month. When I add in maternity, it almost goes to $400 a month.
Yep.
Now, is that going to become an elective option?
Yeah, because in 2014, they can't charge higher premiums because you have women of childbearing or because someone is elderly.
So
2014.
childbearing, it will no longer matter, so.
The health coverage?
Maternity
Correct. Correct, because what's starting to happen is that it's starting to become competitive. So it's, larger organizations like you can spread those risks out amongst, your organizations. Going all the way up to 100 employees by 2016, you can purchase out of the shop, which will have many more choices and options for you. All the benefits there will have the bare minimum essential. But all insurance companies across the land will no longer be able to charge higher premiums because those women are children bearing, or because people are seasoned like me, or because people have pre-existing illnesses or chronic. So now, that does not mean that there won't be price differences now. So, and insurance industry can kind of help me out. But right now, the calculation could be on a 1 to 5. So, young person, a rate of 1, an older person, a rate of 5, 5 times what the younger person has to pay. Now that the difference can only be 1 to 3. So there'll be some differences in premiums, but however, those premiums that are offered inside the shop will need to be offered also outside of the shop. So this is a part of the reform, so to supposedly help drive costs down. We'll be interested to see exactly how it works. Other questions? Yes, sir.
See if I can get this one right. So you got 50 employees. And so you got 50 part-time employees, each working 15 hours a week. So you have an equivalent of 75 employees. So you're not offering part-time insurance to part-time people. However, what if these part-time people work an additional job where they meet the criteria for full-time with the 15 hours and those 15 hours? They go out to the marketplace and shop. Who's going to get penalized for them picking up insurance?
You are not responsible for having to offer part-time employees healthcare insurance, nor are you subject to penalties for part-time employees. So they can go, see now individually, they're responsible to get their own insurance. So I'm working this job, I'm working this job, and I can go into the exchange and purchase on my own, and I'll get tax subsidies, to help me with my premiums because I'm not being offered by an employer. So I'm eligible. So now I'm in a different category. So I still must have the insurance, but my employer does not have to give it to me. However, if my spouse, works for the county and she has coverage and I'm up under her coverage, I don't have to get coverage because I'm covered.
So that's anybody under the 30 or over the under the 30 hours.
That's anyone. That's anyone. We're talking about individual responsibility and employer responsibility. Employer responsibility comes into play when you're full-time and part-time equivalent goes over 50, then you are required to offer health care insurance to at least 95% of your full-time employees. You are subject for a penalty if you do not offer insurance to them, or the insurance that you're offering is not affordable and one of your full-time employees goes out and purchases individual insurance and receives a subsidy from the government as an individual. Yes.
And so the full-time is considered 30 hours?
For the accountant, yes, it's
No, I'm just saying, I thought full-time is considered 30 hours, not 40 for a full-time.
remember I said for Affordable Care Act calculation of your full-time, they use 30. Not to be confused with Department of Labor or the state of Ohio of how they calculate full-time and their rules,
Okay.
okay?
Are they changing the 30 up to 40? I just heard they were moving that up to 40.
I haven't heard that. I might hear that on my call today, which then the slides will be adjusted when I come back out, for the next time. So, I mean, this is even, there's a lot of moving pieces here. Some of the foundation has not been created yet. The exchanges have not been created. So the Department of Human Health and Services is just starting to come up with the foundational part, second foundation of how that's going to work. And I have the slides, but we haven't been authorized to do them yet because they're still trying to make sure they have the correct information in there. Ooh. Well, I'm glad I got health care coverage. My eagle just went out on me. There was a question in front of you, sir.
I want to stick on that 30 hours for a second. If you're an hourly worker, that's not hard to calculate. What do you do with a salary person? What's their
Well, I mean, my health benefits folks in here, they know how to calculate out salaried person. But I mean, if they're salaried, they're full-time. I mean,
Doesn't matter how many hours you work.
yeah, I mean, because that's the whole idea about salary. Overtime or undertime, they're still getting paid, so they're full-time. So that's one,
That works in that case. I have some seasonals who are salaried.
All right, now this is where it's going to get specific to your particular business and how that works out, where you would need to be talking to a health benefits person to make sure that they can own down to, well, how many do you have? How many seasonal then become full-time? And how many are part-time? In the end, the bottom line, I've got 30 here, I've got 25 during the seasonal, well then I've got a total of full-time, 50 or so. However, did I have that right?
That was 55.
55, thank you. 55. I have 55 full-time employees, and now I'm going to calculate my part-time. Because really, the whole calculation is to see whether you get over that 50 full-time or full-time equivalent. So there was a question asked earlier in the first session. So I only have 3 full-time employees, but I have 100 part-time employees. That puts me over the 50. Yes, it does, which means that you are required to offer insurance to 95% of those 3 people. So 2.5 of them. Might as well get the other one too. Yeah. So, but then, if you really sit there and calculate, look at it, you are exempt